and that is Antwane Wells, wide receiver from South Carolina, has become what's his name? Who's the quarterback there? I can't remember his name. But yeah, has become Rattler's top target over the past few weeks. And really, the two of them have started to show some chemistry. I think as Rattler has started to improve, that has helped Wells and vice versa. You know, Rattler clearly has a guy he trusts now on third down in, you know, key situations throughout the game. And Wells has played well, 9 for 131 and 2 this week. A lot of rack, I know that's kind of like the South Carolina wide receiver template, but he's certainly playing that role. Big physical guy. I think he's like 211 pounds. And I was a little bit off of him because I thought he was this 5th, 6th year guy because he had a JUCO route. But I believe in doing show prep, I think he's only in his 3rd year right now. He did 2 years at FBS school, right? And then now is in his only 3rd year in NCAA. You guys got any thoughts on Wells or on South Carolina? I mean, they've really been making the ascension the past few weeks.
I haven't watched much of Wells, but what I have watched of South Carolina is a meteoric rise from Spencer Rattler the last few weeks. So I mean, that's got to play hand in hand with the game that you see from Wells, right? I mean, Rattler, if he's putting up 350, 400-yard passing performances, somebody's going to have to be the beneficiary of that. So as Spencer Rattler has kind of progressed in this offense, this team has ascended, right? You've had these big statement wins versus Clemson. You've had the big statement win the week before versus who was it? Forgetting.
Ranked team, a good one.
Tennessee?
Was it Tennessee? I think it might have been.
Might have been.
I think it was Tennessee. Yeah, it was Tennessee. Yeah, because that was the game Hooker got hurt. So yeah,
right.
He's had these big statement wins versus Tennessee against Clemson, and Spencer Rattler has risen a little bit. He's progressed. He's started to be the quarterback that everybody proclaimed he was his freshman year, right? So I mean, as he's risen, Antwane Wells has risen as well.
Did you get eyes on those games and those Rattler snaps? Because I mean, he's after the way he burned people last year, and I'd never been a huge fan of his game because it was always inconsistent, right? He definitely had tools and he definitely flashed moments even before he got benched last year. He was up and down, and I guess a question would be, is this like a legit step forward, or are we in for more roller coaster in his development?
I personally think it's a legit step forward. And I mean, like you said, the tools have always been there. Snap, release, all the arm talent in the world. The problem was always his decision-making, maturity, and then when he was up against it, he was crumbling, right, at Oklahoma, would just fall apart. And I don't think you're seeing that this year. Maybe it's the coaching staff. I don't think you can say he's got necessarily a lot better weapons around him. So I think it's his growth. I think it's, maybe he's getting a little bit more of what he needs as a QB coach, but he's starting to play more consistently. I mean, I'm looking at the scoreboards now, and it was 63 points against Tennessee. Yeah, that's a rotten defense, but 63 points is a lot of offensive production. And before that, the win over A&M, and then this most recent week over a 10th ranked Clemson team with a really stout defense. I mean, I think you got to say there's something going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it was always what was between the ears, right? He always had all the talent in the world. I think the difference now is you don't have a 5-star Caleb Williams sitting behind you, pushing you a little bit. He doesn't have that pressure, which could potentially be a bad thing too, right? I mean, once you get a little pressure, does he start to crumble again at the next level? That's something to consider, I would think.
Yeah, and I don't know whether these games had a lot of maybe even just D-line pressure or anything too, but I think Rattler he's had some really bad games this year too. Like back to Oklahoma, atrocious. As it was crumbling around him, multiple pick games. So it's it's just one of those ones that I need to put my eyes on it before I believe it. I might be late to the party if that's the case, but these are big statement wins. These are big. This is a player kind of being big in a big moment, and I'm probably holding, some of his past mistakes against him still. It's just whether we, it's really hard to know for a player who's shown this type of talent before, and it's mixed in amongst some flaws that really just crop up at the worst times, and I just don't know that I can trust it. That's my biggest hang up there with Rattler. Maybe I'll just
go ahead, Matt.
Oh no, I think it was Jeff. So getting ready to say something.
Oh yeah, I was going to say really bad game, like really, really bad games against Florida, against Missouri. That's not exactly a vaunted defense, and then Georgia. But I think the good thing about it is that the cost to find out if Rattler is any good is very low in startups, right? Like he's not like a top 10 rounds pick at this